Hello everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel, and today I'm going to be giving my match predictions for the Carabao Cup final, and both teams will be wanting to get their hands on this trophy. Both historic clubs, both passionate fan bases, and they will want to end their trophy drought this season, with especially Newcastle not winning a trophy in nearly 70 years. And I know you guys are thinking, it's the Carabao Cup, it's the least desirable out of all the trophies you can possibly win, but come on, the Carabao Cup in the past has been used as a catalyst starter to win many more trophies and have great success during the season. We saw Liverpool win the Carabao Cup last year and win the FA Cup and reach the Champions League final. We have seen Manchester City accompany the Carabao Cup with many Premier League titles, even going back to 2017 when Manchester United were under Mourinho. They won the Carabao Cup and then won the Europa League later on. So the Carabao Cup installs that winner's mentality within your side and makes them even more hungry for more silverware and potentially a good season. However, for the game itself, like I just said, who do you think will be able to end their trophy drought? Will it be Newcastle, who haven't won a trophy for 70 years, or will it be Manchester United? Will Ten Hag get his first silverware as the new head boss of the club? In this video, I'm going to be talking about all the factors which are going to be so decisive in deciding who's going to win this matchup in the Carabao Cup final at Wembley. So the first factor I'm going to be talking about, it has to be this. It's Newcastle's defense versus Manchester United's attack. And Manchester United are going to have a tough time breaking down Newcastle, especially since we know they have been so impressive defensively this season. Eddie Howe, as we've known, learned off Diego Simeone when he studied him, and he has been able to make Newcastle so tough to beat at the back, making sure they have the best defensive record within the Premier League, only conceding 15 goals this season, having the second best defensive record in Europe, I believe, just behind Barcelona, and also having the most clean sheets in the Premier League as we speak. However, they're facing Marcus Rashford, who we know right now as we speak is one of the most informed players in the whole of Europe, as he's been scoring goals for fun, scoring the most goals ever since the World Cup ended. So it's going to be a tantalizing matchup. It's going to be a great display to watch these two machines go up against each other. However, going into this game, Newcastle should feel confident. They should have their chests out because they know what it takes to beat higher level sides, or at least keep clean sheets. We saw this against Chelsea, beat them 2-0 at St James's Park. We have seen them go away from home to Old Trafford and even the Emirates, keeping clean sheets. They know how to style full teams, they know how to neutralise oppositions, their best players, and they know how to keep clean sheets. No matter the environment, no matter who they're playing, no matter the stakes, they know how to be cohesive as a defensive unit, and it's all based on the DNA Eddie Howe has injected within the side: physicalness, toughness, IQ, being able to work together as a unit at the back, with key signings like Botman, Sarr doing well, and we know Kieran Trippier, what a station he has been at that right back position, pretty much being the leader of that back four. Honestly, Newcastle has been sensational, especially with Manchester United going forward. Yes, they have been good this season, but heavily reliant on Rashford. So let's say if he doesn't have his shooting boots on, what will happen? We know Weghorst is not known for his goal scoring prowess. Bruno Fernandes recently has been joining the fun in terms of scoring goals, but apart from those two, Manchester United don't really have an outlet, they don't really have a threat. So if these two players aren't in their finest form, possibly Newcastle could stifle Manchester United and potentially drag this game longer than Manchester United actually desire. So Eddie Howe, which I think he will be studying closely throughout the week, will be looking of methods and ways to stop Marcus Rashford, because if you stop him, I feel like 50% of Manchester United going forward is going to be neutralised. I wouldn't be surprised if he'll be cautious, defensive in his structure, change it from a 4-3-3 to a 4-5-1 at times to ensure that Kieran Trippier does have protection with Almiron tracking back, or Willock or Longstaff, who plays on that right centre midfield position, to ensure that Marcus Rashford doesn't have the space, doesn't have the time to really attack Kieran Trippier in solo individual duels. However, just like all great defences, they do have a little weakness, and going into this game, Newcastle have a massive Achilles heel which is on full display for Manchester United to see and expose. This is because we know that Pope is going to be suspended in this game due to the red card he got against Liverpool. But that's not only the bad news. The Bradcar, their goalkeeper, is cup tied because he played for Manchester United earlier in the season. So Newcastle have to rely on their third string goalkeeper, and guess who it is? It is Karius, and the last time he played in a game of significance in 2018, we all know what happened. The chances, the goals he conceded, they were inexplicable. You couldn't even explain them. It was unfathomable. You just can't believe it even happened. And in Newcastle's most important game in nearly 70 years, the pressure is going to be on his shoulders, and I can see him making a few mistakes which Manchester United will be able to capitalise on. Speaking as a Liverpool fan, Karius is one of those keepers who just makes those mistakes where you're thinking, how on earth did that even happen? Is that humanly possible? Sometimes it's even harder to make that mistake. So with Karius having all this pressure, all these expectations on his shoulders, I wouldn't be shocked if he folds. So I wouldn't be surprised if Manchester United will take the initiative. They will take some early shots, some long shots to see what Karius is about, to put him under pressure, to make the defence of Newcastle feel unsettled, that they don't have a trustworthy goalkeeper behind them. And this will work into Manchester United's favour. And I wouldn't be surprised if Manchester United take the lead early on, especially down to a Karius mistake. So the next factor I'm going to be talking about is the midfield battle. And going into this game, no doubt Manchester United have the superior midfield. They got the better players, the better quality, the guys who know how to score goals, assist, break the lines, and really challenge Newcastle's midfield. We know Casemiro has been showcasing his ability to score goals. I think he scored 4 goals for Manchester United so far, 5 assists. His ability on the ball has been very severely underrated. We know Sabitzer keeps it neat and tidy, and Bruno Fernandes is slowly edging back into the form he showcased 3 or 4 years ago, scoring goals and assists. We know Manchester United have the better midfielders. However, for Newcastle, they're going to know this. This isn't going to faze them because they have faced midfielders like this before and they have played to their strengths, making it a physical battle, one-on-one duels, trying to win their 50-50 battles, frustrate Manchester United's midfield. They're cunning, they're clever, they're tactically smart when it comes to wasting time, when it comes to drawing those little fouls, trying to disrupt Manchester United's rhythm and flow when it comes to building out from the back. And this has frustrated Manchester United in the past, like we saw at Old Trafford, where Newcastle were notoriously famous for wasting time. And they've done these sort of antics against teams like Liverpool at Anfield and even against Arsenal at the Emirates. So they know how to do it. They're the masters of it within the Premier League. And I think Manchester United, especially with those hotheads in the midfield, they may get frustrated, try to play hero ball and not stick to the game plan with players like Bruno Fernandes, who we know has a reputation of doing this. So Manchester United can't stoop to their level. They must focus on their game plan. They must set the tempo because honestly, if they stick to their game plan, if they stick to their way of playing, they will find chances, they will exploit Newcastle's weaknesses, and they will be able to take them apart in that midfield. However, I feel like a massive talking point is the return of Bruno Guimaraes, who we know has been recently suspended due to the red card he suffered against Southampton in the Carabao Cup. We have known Newcastle have been fading to connect the midfield and attack when it comes to creating chances. Bruno Guimaraes is that bright spark. He is that playmaker, that guy who can go into the advanced positions and be able to support the attack and create opportunities. And in my opinion, Bruno Guimaraes is a top 5 midfielder within the Premier League. He can do absolutely everything. He has that little bite within his game as well. He's not scared to go into challenges. And you can see in the major categories when it comes to midfielders, in terms of winning their individual duels, when it comes to tackling, when it comes to creating chances, Bruno Guimaraes ranks in the top 10, which just shows he's a jack of all trades. And if he's the best midfielder within the game, which I feel like is fully capable of, because that's how high I rate this player, I think Bruno Guimaraes will be able potentially to get Newcastle that win. He's refreshed, he's rejuvenated, he's going to be raring to go straight out the packet, and he's going to want to make an instant impact on this game because we know, we've seen in his performances, he bleeds black and white for Newcastle and he's really passionate about the club, especially in the midfield battle, which I'll get later on about, which may be leggy, which may be jaded, which may be tired within Manchester United because they're playing obviously in a massive game at Old Trafford against Barcelona, only having 3 to 4 days rest to recover. So this midfield battle is going to be a massive deciding point for who's going to win the Carabao Cup. The next factor I'm going to be talking about is Manchester United's flexibility when it comes to adjusting to different roles during the game without even making substitutions. We have seen recently, especially in that game against Leicester City, that Manchester United are extremely flexible when it comes to changing players' position throughout the game to get the advantage against the opposition. And I must give Ten Hag massive credit because he's installed a culture of selflessness to make players within the side play in different positions, which may not give you all the glory, but will make sure that it will be in the betterment of the team to potentially win the game. And we're going to see this on full display against Newcastle within this game. We may see Weghorst start front for Manchester United, Rashford down the left, go down against Kieran Trippier, but this can all change depending on the percent and the nature of the game. We saw against Leicester City, Ten Hag adjust his tactics, move players around into different positions, and I think we'll be able to see this against Newcastle. Potentially Manchester United might get outrun, outgunned within the midfield because of Newcastle's fresh legs and intensity. He may bring Weghorst back into the midfield role, like we have seen already in the last month or so, do the dirty work, do the hard yards to close players down, bring Rashford into a central role to go one-on-one with players like Botman or Sarr, because we know Kieran Trippier is one of the best defenders within the Premier League, and he might bring Bruno Fernandes to the right-hand side, who we know has developed his ability to cross the ball and assist players like Marcus Rashford when it comes to aerial duels. So going into this game, Manchester United can be flexible, they can be dynamic, they can change things up to unsettle Newcastle, who may have been game planning for a specific set 11 that Manchester United will display on Sunday. Another factor which I feel like is going to be so important, which I don't feel like many people are talking about, is that Manchester United coming into this cup final, yes, you're going to be filled with high energy mentally, but physically, they may not be able to reach that sort of level. This is because Manchester United have played a ridiculous amount of games in the last 2 months. They have played 15 games, pretty much playing every 3 to 4 days a game. And we know on Thursday it's going to be a bloodbath. It's going to be end-to-end football against Barcelona. The tie is still in the balance and potentially it could go to extra time. So imagine the tiredness, the fatigue which are going to be in Manchester United's players' legs going into this game, especially when they're heavily reliant on certain players like Rashford, Casemiro and Bruno Fernandes to bring their quality to the game. Newcastle are going to be rejuvenated, they are going to be refreshed. Eddie Howe has a full week to game plan against Manchester United to hone his focus on them, and Eddie Howe throughout training during the week will be able to work on certain patterns to disrupt Manchester United's flow and rhythm when it comes to this game. Manchester United are going to only have a short amount of time to do this, only 3 to 4 days since they are facing Barcelona. This is going to be a massive advantage for Newcastle, especially if the game is still in the balance going into extra time, because Newcastle are going to have those fresh legs. So Manchester United in this game may struggle to keep up with Newcastle, especially when we know Newcastle pride itself of the values of high energy, high desire, and it's a magnitude of a game for them. It's a massive deciding point when it comes to Newcastle's history. The players are going to give it their all. So will Manchester United be able to match this sort of desire and passion on the pitch? Okay, so here it is. I'm going to be giving my match predictions between the two sides. And going into this game, I genuinely feel like Manchester United are destined to win. Luck has been on their side, especially with Nick Pope being suspended for this game, who we know has been one of the anchor points for Newcastle when it comes to the defensive record this season. It doesn't matter how well that defence performs for Newcastle, we know Karius has a mistake in him, and all it takes is for Rashford to hit one from 20 to 25 yards and for Karius to tip it into his own net. So honestly, that is going to be the Achilles heel and the detriment for Newcastle when it comes to this game. Yes, Manchester United may enter this game a little bit jaded, a little bit tired, but we know they got options off the bench which they can bring on to change the complexion of the game. Garnacho, who we know as a sub has been magnificent, changing games like the game against Fulham, in other games as well, getting big important goals for Manchester United, even against Manchester City, the assist to Rashford. Also, we know Sancho, he's back into the squad as well, and he's been scoring lately against Leicester City. And also Fred, if given specific instructions to follow throughout the 90 minutes, he will be able to do your job to bring on when the Sabitzer's tired. So Manchester United do have the depth, they do have the players to change strategies if the game isn't going their way. We know Newcastle as well going forward, they just haven't been clinical. Isak, I'm a massive fan of, but this season he's been injured, he's been in and out of the squad. We know St. Maximum on his day is magnificent like we saw against Liverpool. However, we know St. Maximum is extremely inconsistent. We do not know what side of the bed he'll be waking up on. And we know Wan-Bissaka, if he does start against Newcastle, is great in one-on-one duels, so he'll be able to maybe nullify and neutralise the threat of St. Maximum. Or will Anthony Gordon start? But he hasn't been able to kick it off and start running in his Newcastle career as of yet. Because of the size and the magnitude of this game, I feel like the Newcastle players will give it their all, and they're not going to leave anything on the pitch. But I just feel like the quality will prevail, luck will prevail, and the mistakes from Karius I feel like will be massive within this game. I think Manchester United will win at Wembley 2-1 to kickstart the Ten Hag era for Manchester United. Thank you guys for watching my video. Make sure you leave your predictions and thoughts. What do you think is going to be happening in the Carabao Cup final between the two sides?